Well, I really like how Toriko finally trusted Komatsu, 100% wholeheartedly to take care of something very, very important. And great chapter.
Toriko Gourmet number 78. Vermin.
This is getting so good. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and tantalizing and ice-filled, hunger-inducing, insect-ridden, sometimes disgusting tale of Toriko. Our last chapter saw us with everybody getting ready to square off against one another and just kind of the build-up, the calm before the storm, if you could call it that. And of course, Komatsu was sent off by Toriko and entrusted with retrieving the century soup. So that is where the chapter left off. And this one picks up, actually, which is kind of nice, and I wanted to show. I enjoy these maps. As roughly drawn as sometimes they can be, it's nice to see. Here's where everybody's fighting up here. This is the gourmet case. Obviously, this it looks almost like an upside down stalagmite, whatever you call it, stalagmite. And then, of course, there's the entrance, the cave that Komatsu is on his way down for. We've got the pompadour man down here, who Docking Master Jiro is obviously his master. This is where the methane hydrate is down there. And then, of course, here's the secret entrance, the kind of back way that Zongi came in and whatnot. So it's neat to see and get a visualization of where everybody is. And the chapter actually starts out, and I thought it was kind of cool because, again, small victories are still victories. And I kind of liked it when I felt like the focal point of last chapter, yeah, it was setting up for these big battles, but it was really that Toriko finally entrusted Komatsu with something. And after being on several adventures together, and I think looks at him now as more of a trustworthy equal, maybe not in physical combat, but as somebody that he can entrust with something very important, which obviously retrieving the century soup is. So within the first few pages, you see that is what was going down, and at least that's what's going through Komatsu's mind. He's like, whoa, Toriko's never asked me to do anything important before. So as he's like running down and whatnot, he comes upon the Jiro's son or whatever, his cohort, his his trainee, whatever. I mean, he refers to him as master, but I know the guy's name is referred to as Knocking Master. Jiro is his title, so I don't know. Anyway, the dude's got his little cool ninja helmet back on with the hair look and stuff hanging out the back, and he turns and sees Komatsu and just starts charging towards him, and Komatsu's like, oh shit, and I mean, you can just see Komatsu just like piss starting to run down his leg. He's freaking, right? Dude winds up running past Komatsu and taking out a couple of these insects, these mosquitoes that are like capture level 40, I think, mosquitoes that Tommyrod had sent after in the last chapter. He wound up sending them after Komatsu. That's why he wound up calling off the dogs, so to speak, with Bogie and Barry anyway. He was like, don't worry about it, I'll send some of my scouts after him, thinking it was going to be no big deal. And this dude's just like, and just goes and like claps and smashes them. And he's like, I wish I knew how to knock these things out. Obviously not, I'm assuming to not have to take a life, but he did. He did what he did. So anyway, that's that whole thing there. And then he's talking to Komatsu. Komatsu's about to say something. He's like, shh, it'll be better for you. You might make it off this continent if you just be quiet or something along those lines. So then we take the action away from them, and it goes right back to, obviously, just everybody getting ready to square off against each other, Toriko and Tommyrod being, of course, the focal point of that. Well, we wind up seeing, and I think it's Match that winds up making not a joke of it, but actually making mention of it. He winds up seeing the little penguin that Komatsu had been taken care of reunited with its mother and father, and he's like, oh, it's nice that he found its mother and father, right? Well, Tommyrod, he's like, disgusting. And he goes and does like this crazy-ass backbend thing and then has this huge like moth butterfly-looking thing come out. I forget what it's called exactly. It's nasty as shit, though. There we go. It comes out. Here we go. Butterfly worm. Capture level 40 and whatnot. And it's basically like this worm. It's like a centipede is what it's like. A centipede with like these wings. Anyway, this thing winds up coming out and just goes and just rips right through the mother and father penguin, and just destroys them. And then the next part, though, that I thought was of note, that I thought was very cool, is Toriko. I wouldn't say that he doesn't work well with others, but he seems to be very much a doer, a guy that does things on his own, right? He doesn't really need anybody else. He's pretty much just he's a solo act. I mean, even when he had other guys helping him, like in the Regal Mammoth Arc, very rarely was he ever fighting side by side with anyone. He's more of just a one-man army. And so this was kind of cool to see some teamwork working with Match and Takimaru, who are just they're new acquaintances, new friends, I guess you would call them. And it's neat to see this because we wind up getting, they're pretty pissed off about what's happened, you know. So, because Toriko's like, why would you even do that, dude? Like, to Tommy, he's like, what's your problem? Like, are you going to eat them? And Tommy's like, I'm not going to eat those disgusting animals and this and that. They were just annoying. And Toriko, that doesn't sit well with him, right? He gets pissed off about that because he doesn't like that, you know. So anyway, between the three of them, they wind up going and taking out this butterfly worm, and it's kind of cool to see them work in unison with each other. You know, just one playing off the other and whatnot, and we wind up getting a really, and then it ends with it being, Match winds up slicing the thing in half or slicing its head off, separating it from it, and then the head winds up being like, you know, just kind of, Takimaru winds up grabbing it, just going, doing this bottle opener move to just take it out, you know. So then you got Match, he's like to one of his minions, you know, he's like, hey, throw in my ice machine gun, right? And he's talking about how Tommy's even lower than scum for doing, he's like, you know, we're mafia gangsters and you're even lower than us, you piece of shit. So he pulls out this ice Tommy gun and he's like, and the funny part is it's a machine gun, but it looks like a Tommy gun and he's shooting at a guy named Tommy. Nonetheless, though, I thought it was funny. So he starts firing off bullets, and then, you know, and then we get, of course, you know, Barry, take care of this. So Barry goes and does something where I thought he was gonna like harden himself, but he does something called oil something. And it looks like all the bullets are just slicking and sliding past him. But he stands in front, obviously, to block the bullets from actually doing any harm to Tommy, you know. So then we go and Takimaru is going to come in and go and take him out, you know, and Bogie jumps in front of him, you know. So now you know those ones. He's like, all right, I think you want me. And so Takimaru's just like, oh, hey, whatever, man. Bottle opener, and he does this move on him, and it looks like Bogie gets crushed, but you got to remember, he just kind of jumped into that body. It's like a host type of thing, which I assumed it was to begin with. So then he's like, oh, you ruined my outer shell, you know. And he's like, well, no matter. He's like, you know, you'll be my next host or whatever. And then Takimaru's like, oh, will I now? And that's how the chapter ends off, with them going and about to go and square off, and with them about to go and to square off, and you know that the shit's about to go down. So we've pretty much got our matchups over here. The thing that I forgot to mention in the last chapter was that Toriko was kind of poking fun of Tommy. Now, Toriko knows this is going to be his first real type of battle, okay? Because when he fought Starjin, it was only through while he was controlling a GT robot. When he fought Grinpatch, he knows that Grinpatch was just kind of screwing around with him. You know, he's just really just toying with him at that point. So he knows that this being one of the vice chefs of Gourmet Corp, it's going to be some hardcore shit going on right here. And he's going to have to go to the next level to take this guy down. And I'm looking forward to it. But what he also winds up mentioning as he's kind of making fun of Tommyrod, and he's like, what, no GT robots this time? Or he was, since you're the one that brought all the bugs, you know, and Tommy says, yeah, he did. And this was in the last chapter, but I forgot to mention it. And he says, no GT robots this time, you know? And Tommy goes and he says something to the effect of, yeah, there is a GT robot, or there's one here. I don't even know where it is, but don't worry about it. I don't need it. So that was mentioned in the last chapter, and then we see that briefly in this chapter after Komatsu is saved by Knocking Master Jiro's pupil or whatever he is, you know, his minion. We wind up actually seeing, riding on what appears to be some kind of bug or something like that, we see one of these GT robots coming in. So they're going to have to deal with that pretty soon as well. But my chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is really, what are your thoughts on Takimaru with what his powers are, with what we know about him so far, matched up against Bogie Woods and what we know about his powers so far? Because Bogie goes and obviously says, you know, I'm the culinary, you know, head at the Gourmet Corp headquarters number 5, this and that. Like, basically, I'm a higher up. You know, you can't screw with me. But Takimaru's pretty hardcore too, being with the Gourmet Knights and whatnot. We know a little bit about each one of their powers now, that obviously Bogie has the power to go and jump from host to host, but I don't know what else they have going on. But what do you think about that particular matchup? Because it looks like those two are going to square off against each other, albeit in the next chapter or one, you know, shortly after that. So let me know what your thoughts are on that and the answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
Remember to follow me on my other channel, as well as Twitter and Facebook and Instagram too.